day, televiewers. I'm Ma'am Rochelle C. Angles from Honorato C. Perez Senior Memorial Science High School, your teacher presenter for today's episode of Tele-turuan. Our session for this day will focus on how to transcode information from linear to non-linear text and vice versa. As we start with our discussion, I want you to take a look at these images. What do you observe? Yes, both talk about the world's water. Another? Very good. One is in a paragraph form while the other one is a graph. These images are actually examples of text. The first one is a linear text while the second picture is a non-linear text. But what is linear and non-linear text? Linear text is a text that is written in a traditional way without the aid of graphics. It is read from left to right, from beginning to end, and has syntactic and grammatical features. This type of text has an order or sequence. It is typically the author who decides the order of the text or its reading path. Reading path is the path or the way the readers take through a text. Generally, texts printed on paper are considered as linear text. Some of the examples of linear text are novels, short stories, poems, educational texts, news articles, and letters. All those texts we read from the beginning to the end are linear texts. How about non-linear text? Non-linear text is represented using different kinds of graphics, such as charts and graphs and other figures. It is called non-linear because the reader does not read it sequentially. Instead, the reader of the text decides the sequence in reading the text. It has multiple reading paths. Here are some examples of non-linear text. The first one is a line graph. A line graph is a graphical display of information that changes continuously over time. It displays the information as a series of data points connected by line segments to show trends. Next is the bar graph. A bar graph works similarly to a line graph. It only differs in the use of bars of different heights to show different values. It may run horizontally or vertically. The important thing to know is that the longer the bar, the greater its value. Then we have the Venn diagram. Venn diagram is a diagram that consists of two or more overlapping circles that often show comparison and contrast. And the last one is a flow chart. It is a type of diagram representing a process using different symbols containing information about steps or a sequence of events. Each of these symbols is linked with arrows to illustrate the flow direction of the process. Again, these are some of the examples of non-linear text. Remember, the key difference between linear and non-linear text is their reading path. In a linear text, a reader can make sense of the text by reading sequentially from beginning to end. However, in a non-linear text, the reading path is non-linear and non-sequential. Thus, the reader can choose his own reading path. Knowing these things, how then do we interpret linear and non-linear text? Let's try. I have here a graph, specifically a bar graph. This graph compares the number of students enrolled in classes. I want you to study it and answer the following questions. Alright, let's try. Upon studying the bar graph, what class has the highest enrollment? Very good, it's biology with 200 enrolled students. How about number 2? How many students are enrolled in chemistry and anatomy? Yes, it's 160 in chemistry and there are 130 enrolled students in anatomy. Finally, which course is the least popular? Correct. It's the physics class with only 60 enrolled students. Most probably, you can see now the difference between linear and non-linear text. Now let's try to transcode information from linear to non-linear and vice versa. Remember, the word transcode means to change language or information from one form of representation to another. Okay, let's try. In transcoding, you should extract information from a linear text to a non-linear text. Here are some steps for you to follow. Step 1. Read the passage to get a general idea of the subject matter. Step 2. Look at the visual to identify what information is needed to complete the chart or graph. Step 3. Locate the relevant information in the passage and transfer it to the chart or graph. Use only keywords or phrases, not the whole sentences. And step 4. You may be required to classify information into categories under headings. Now, look at the example. Try to apply the steps in transcoding the information in this linear text to a non-linear one. Alright? Wonderful! This linear text about the life stages of a mosquito could be transcoded in this type of non-linear text. Alright, we'll be right back after some reminders from our sponsors. I'm back here in DepEd's tele-turuan. Let's now proceed to transcoding information from non-linear text to linear text. Here are the steps to follow. Step 1. Spend around 5 minutes reading the graphs, charts, or other figures. Step 2. Make sure you understand the text. Step 3. Make sure you follow the lines on graph. Step 4. Focus on the key information. Step 5. Observe correct grammatical structure. Step 6. Vary your vocabulary. Step 7. Organize information clearly. And finally, Step 8. Write neatly. Let's try. Look at Jack's daily routine. Okay, study this pie graph, and transcode the information in there into a linear one. Remember to follow the steps. Alright, let's see the answers. Okay, very well done. Okay, it seems that you are already getting used with the linear and non-linear text. Now, let's have a recap of the lesson. Linear text refers to traditional text that needs to be read from beginning to end. There is only one reading path, which is decided by the author. It typically includes printed text such as novels, short stories, and poems. On the other hand, non-linear text refers to the text that does not need to be read from beginning to the end. There are multiple reading paths. They are determined by the reader. It typically includes visual, graphs, and other figures. It is indeed helpful to be able to interpret and transcode information from linear to non-linear text and vice versa. Thank you. Well, that's it for today's lesson. A good day, everyone, and thank you very much.